Shenanigans at every corner, sarcasm a holy sermon in style. Dark chocolate melted chaos warmer. Fighting this timeline with snark. Every soul welcome with no recorders. Baptized by laughter in the dark. We stand tall, sporting fake orders. In the church of glory rise, with chaos and shenanigans bright. Chocolate and sarcasm our rise. Together we light up the night.
Welcome everyone. It is Court and Cross Stitch. Now, I did change it to Crouching Judge, Flying Defendant, but looking at everything, it looks like they do not have jury selection, which was yesterday recorded. And from looking all over the internets, this is not actually scheduled. The trial is not actually scheduled to start until 4 this afternoon. But let me double check that because I was pretty sure that that's what I read. Court TV or Law and Crime has it scheduled for 4:30 p.m. So what I can do is we can go over the article and try to explain what's going on. Watch, obviously, the clip of that, and then we can either jump to, Sarah Boone inmate notes, or we can go back to the Michael Jackson Blanos case. It really all depends on you guys. For those of you who are new here, and maybe this is your first time with Court and Cross, I do cross stitch. We watch trials. This is the project that I'm currently working on. I finally figured out how to cut out the picture. I am a genius. So this is what I'm working on. Obviously, it is Sailor Moon. I mean, are we shocked at all? So thank you, Jeff Montgomery and Wolfram, for your mod thing, your modly duties, and observation station. So let's get on to this article because it does explain a little bit of what's going on here and what this case will be determining. Now, jury selection has begun was yesterday, obviously, so maybe they're finishing that up and then moving on to opening statements later on this afternoon. Began Tuesday afternoon for the trial of a man charged with attacking a Las Vegas judge earlier this year. Deborah Redden, and y'all, I actually had to watch his lawyer say his name because I was like, maybe it's Deborah or Deborah. But this, the defendant, the suspect, the alleged attacker, although I don't know how one can say alleged when we literally see video of it. I mean, at this point, it's stretching verisimilitude to believe that this man is innocent until proven guilty when we have, video footage of him doing a, hang air leap at the judge. But what is there for the jury to figure out in this particular trial is whether his attack on the judge was attempted murder or not. So Redden, 31, was in court for a sentencing hearing on attempted battery, and Judge Mary K. Holthus indicated that she was not going to be giving him probation or any more sort of redirection into alternate programs. She was going to be putting him in jail. And that apparently just broke him. And he decided to do a flying leap towards the judge. That is when Redden rushed to the bench and jumped onto Holthus, attacking her before a clerk and court martial were able to restrain him. The entire incident was captured on court cameras and quickly went viral. Now, Redden previously had pled not guilty by reason of insanity. Prosecutors say they plan to call between 10 and 15 witnesses for the trial, while Redden's defense expects to call just 2 or maybe a little bit more than that, but there really isn't. I think this is going to be a really quick case that we can look at, and I will probably just go ahead and do this case tomorrow as well, even though technically it should be a Reddit Thursday or, shenanigans Sarah Boone thing. What I might do tomorrow is follow this case, and then we will go ahead and I will do a snarktastic reading of Sarah Boone inmate notes instead of Newsy News that night, just to keep us kind of on schedule, because I am trying to, in theory, be a little bit professional and give you guys kind of, a regular schedule with which to see certain things on my channel. For a change. For a change, I've decided to maybe, not wing it. Now, the trial will continue today, but it does look like opening statements are not going to be until at least 4:30. So we will go ahead and, look at Court TV kind of explaining this case. Now, from what I have been able to read, it looks like he has basically pled guilty to all charges that culminated from this assault that day, except for the attempted murder charge. Now, according to his lawyer, he suffers from unmedicated paranoid schizophrenia. So I believe that will be part of his defense. Now, the kind of odd thing about that, I will say, is that when this defense was brought up by his, I believe, foster mother and sister, there wasn't a lot of actual medical documentation at the time. So this was 6 months ago, to really corroborate that he had a history of mental health, issues, and that he was actually diagnosed with, schizophrenia. Now, if he does happen to have schizophrenia, it's a horrible disease. It robs you of reality, of, being able to trust your own thoughts and things like that. But this is becoming a tried and true refrain. If guilty, then it must be X, Y, and Z, and not my own, terrible choices that brought me here. This does go back to a lot of, people want to find something causal that removes, self-discipline and self-control from the equation, and it is upsetting. But let's see how we can deal with Court TV without getting copyright striked. It's an interesting idea. Let's see if we can do it. Because we're basically going to get the clip, and maybe I will be able to find some more, but this is what's going on currently.
For Redden and the charges against him. Take a listen. On January 3rd of this year.
Now, here's my take on this. And again, I'm just a redhead, well, fake. I am a colored person, hair colored person who, just rambles and babbles on the internet. But this is what comes from never actually having someone pay the consequences of their behavior. This man has been in diversion program after diversion program, after parole, after probation violation, after every single thing. So when he is finally held accountable, he cannot process it. I mean, imagine going 33 years in your life and never being held accountable because you've always been able to scapegoat, mental health or this, that, and the other, to when you are finally being held accountable because you did a violent battery upon a person with a baseball bat. You are robbed of any coherent thought because you have never had to face consequences. I mean, that is what we're seeing here. We are seeing someone who has never been told no without being able to wiggle or, get a lesser, you know, thing to bring in some sort of, mitigating factor. It really is quite alarming that this is, oh, daggone it, YouTube. It really is alarming that we have an entire generation of people, but people that have dealt with the court system that have never had to face the full actual consequences of their actions. I foresee this happening a lot more, unfortunately.
Deobra Redding leapt and tackled Judge.
I am going to move to his. So this is where he lost all control of himself. Now, he was trying to give the judge, his sort of, I'm working, I'm, doing the great thing. I really don't need to go back to jail. Sure, I lightly assaulted / battered someone with a baseball bat, but I'm doing much better
Sent
now.
to prison.
Based on my criminal history, I feel that I should be sent to prison for a second time. Have you looked at your criminal history?
Holthus did not like his criminal history.
Okay, you know what? This judge, I like it. Like, this judge is me. She's not trying to be petty. She is just really genuinely confused as to the mental, the mental thought tree that went to, multiple convictions, multiple felonies, a gajillion time on parole. And she's like, how did you come up with, I should get a mulligan on this one? Because that's the face I get when my sons are like, no, I shouldn't be punished this time. But if I do it again, definitely, be mad at me for drawing on the walls. Who was I to know that drawing on the walls would be a bad idea? No one gave me a distinct engraved rule book as to what I was supposed to do and not do in the living room. Can you really blame me? I mean,
History.
3 felonies, a gross, 9 misdemeanors, multiple DVs.
I'm in a better place in my mind, in my mental health. I have a support system. I just got hired as a teacher for, the union.
After stating his case for leniency, Holthus began to sentence him to prison.
I think it's time that he gets a taste of something else because I just can't with that history. In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court.
Proving that you can definitely deal with, the common everyday frustrations that happen in life. Someone mildly disagreed with me and was going to hold me accountable, but I have no control. It just set me off. I don't think you're making the argument you wish to make, sir.
According to court documents, Redden punched Judge Holthus in the head and pulled her hair, and he punched a corrections officer.
And I mean, honestly, looking at this footage again, had the clerk and that marshal, I believe, not jumped in, we could have been looking at a judicial assassination live on court TV. I mean, we really could have seen that. It does not, and I know I reiterate this every time, but life is not Hollywood. Injuries to your head, especially for an older person, can cause, subcranial hemorrhage. And pressure is not good for your chemo anxiety machine that we carry in our skulls. It definitely doesn't like pressure. So the fact that, again, we could have watched basically I believe that this was attempted murder. I I believe, now it's up to the state to prove this. They have the burden of proof. They have the job to make this case. So I'm not going to cut the state any slack. But I mean, say the clerk ran away, say that, that the marshal couldn't get to her. All it takes is several hits to the head and you are out. One good hit to the head. And she hit her head against the wall. I mean, this is the part that people don't get. And it is not Hollywood. This is brain damage. This is life-ending potential stuff. Head injuries are nothing to joke about. And I saw the, large gash that the marshal got, and he dislocated his shoulder. One person, heck bent on creating evil, can destroy multiple lives.
Officer multiple times and spit in another person's face. The court marshal, who ran to help Holthus, tripped as he tried to detain Redden, dislocating his shoulder and cutting his forehead, requiring 25 stitches. Redden is now facing a slew of new charges, including attempted murder, battery on a protected person, and battery on an officer. He invoked his right to a speedy trial and has pled not guilty.
Now, that is a bit of a misnomer. I was doing a little more looking into this as I was trying to get Canva to load. And absolutely, what a badass move by the judge. I mean, she came back in there. Yes, he was, spit netted up. And I believe he had those orange floaty noodles, making knife hands so he couldn't hurt himself even with those. But I can tell you that even years, and I don't mean to make this personal, but it kind of goes back to what I was saying in the Sarah Boone trial. She has none of the markers of someone who has walked through any sort of abuse. And let me explain what I mean by that as a person who has. I cannot stand large crowded places. I don't like those because I am not aware of all my surroundings. That's part of hypervigilance. I don't like my back being to anyone. I don't especially like and will completely shut down to the point where I almost look a little bit catatonic when, loud, angry male voices or someone gets into my personal space in a confrontational way. I don't deal with that well. I do not. These are things that I still carry years and years later. These are not things that I think about. This is an automatic sort of thing. I mean, I almost feel myself shrink into me. And these are things that unless you are a skilled actress or you have dealt with something like this before, you cannot play convincingly, because these are things that are simply, a factor of living through something. And Sarah Boone has not lived through that experience, in my opinion. I'm not a psychologist, but she shows no, cowing to anyone. She shows no sort of turtling in, which I know we don't all believe body language. She shows no signs of anxiety when pressed, when people get into her personal space, because I can tell you that when someone is uncomfortably close to me, especially a male person, I'll even give you an example. My brother-in-law is the nicest, kindest, most esoterically intelligent person I have ever met, but he is a very close talker. And my husband notices this. Mr. Moe notices that I don't particularly do well with close talkers. So what he has learned to do is kind of get between us and, just give me that extra space. And this is my brother-in-law, again, kindest person, knows a bunch about esoteric things, and is so very sweet. But I still don't like being closely surrounded by people I have not given that sort of personal boundary trek to. So again, that is what pisses me off about Sarah Boone. I survived that. It is not, something that I pull out of my closet every day and put on my big old survivor badge and, tell everyone about like I'm vegan or something. But when you take something that's happened to me, when you've taken something that's happened to hundreds or thousands of men and women who have had to deal with any sort of DV, whether it's emotional, financial, actually laying of hands, and you try to put on what we've walked through, what we continue to deal with on a subconscious basis, and you try to throw your smugly little face, you know, under our mask of survivorness, it's really effing gross, ma'am. And it doesn't take a geniusologist to figure that you can't play that part to save your life, and maybe you should stop while you're behind. Any hoozle, I'm gonna stop making fun of Sarah Boone. I mean, probably not, but that's the part that pisses me off about Sarah Boone. I mean, among many other things. But we've kind of gotten off the topic, but I also need to stop every once in a while. Otherwise, Court TV gets a big hissy fit too. So let's continue.
He's also pleading not guilty based upon reason of insanity. Just like everybody else, and looking at the video, I thought Mr. Redden was either out of his mind or on drugs at the time of this incident. But after...
Or he was behaving like an ill-advised toddler who had never been told no. You know, it doesn't have to be, part A, part B. Again, the growth in, mental health awareness has been great, but it's also been used as a sort of Malt and Bailey or a sword and shield for people who have decided to abdicate their personal responsibility. I couldn't do this, that, or the other, or I lack personal control because of XYZ. When it's amazing when other people who have XYZ but don't give themselves that little, out, don't do those things. I have nothing against if this man was actually displaying profound mental delusion. But what negates that is that he was making a conscious and well-reasoned on his part argument to the court about why he should not go to jail prior to him leaping onto the judge. You cannot tell me that, again, he went usually schizophrenia. If you are in a full-on schizophrenic delusion, and I'm not a psychiatrist, so you don't come out of it. It's not transient. You continue to have these delusions. They are, in fact, the foundation upon which you base your reality. So if he had said, "You're all against me. I know you're all against me. I know you're talking about me behind my back. I should have known this game was rigged. You guys were all talking about me. I heard it through the vents. You guys have all had this figured out." This would be a much easier sort of attack line for this defense. What they are going to have to fight against is the fact that there on camera, he was making a coherent and logical, to him, argument. And that switch only flipped when he was told no. So I'm sorry, but I don't know that your mental insanity is going to be an actual thing that you're going to be able to put on this. Heidi Pruss says, exactly 100%, add losing ability to keep train of thought and point during conversation, and that is passionate about points of views, then having to look away again to regain it. I mean, again, I have no problem. I deal with depression, anxiety, and, just current dramatic stress because I'm me. I made that last one up. I have no problem saying that, yeah, everyone may have mental health stuff that they deal with. What I have a problem is when people give away their, agency and their ability to, I don't know, have self-control, because I haven't lost mine. Pull on your big adult panties, your big adult underoos, and deal with life, because we all have to. And try to be kind to others, because you don't know what they're dealing with. This is not hard. And, if I'm going to say something extremely unpopular, but as a parent, if I failed to pass on this very basic, very, sort of do unto others, perspective, if I raised a child that in no way could practice self-control, I would not be proud of it. I would not be proud of it. I would not be standing in front of cameras. Now, would I always love my child because that's my child? Yeah. But I would have absolutely no problem saying, I will always love my child, but what he did was despicable, wrong, and lacked self-control. And as I've told my children from the jump, if you, make a choice and you make a wrong choice, you have to pay for it. Imagine what kind of world we'd live in if every mom that you see on television, defending their child who's only stolen 74 Kias this year, and he was totally on his way to both Bible, Sunday school, and helping grandma get her groceries. Imagine if we just took responsibility and said, hey, I love my kid. I wish he wasn't going through this, but he made some really dumbass choices. And he's going to have to pay for them. Hopefully he'll become a better person. Imagine if it, oh my gosh, if we made a conservatarian, remake of Imagine John Lennon, but just imagine if people took responsibility. Imagine if there were no excuses. It's not hard if you try. Imagine you can control your hands and feet, even when you want to cry. I mean, I can't sing. I'm not Yoko Ono. But what a wonderful world. I'm trying not to make this a soapbox about parenting, and I understand more than anyone that what works for one family, what is important for one family, may not even be on the radar for another family. So I completely get and respect that. But yeah, we need to sit down as parents in America and really start figuring out what we want to churn out, because we now have the parents who got participation trophies getting kids who don't even want to make the effort to earn a participation trophy. I know.
Extended discussions with Mr. Redden, Ms. Springer, and other family members, I came to find out that he suffered from severe paranoid schizophrenia.
Redden ended up appearing in front of Holthus one more time to finish the sentencing hearing.
I am making my calendar page from that day an exhibit for the court. Nothing's been changed, indicating the sentence I intended to impose.
Redden was sentenced to 19 to 48 months in prison, but now he could face decades behind bars.
Again, jury selection beginning.
So, I mean, that's where they're going to kind of go with this case. I did want to look at this defense attorney, which she's commentating on, because I do think that it brings a different perspective. I don't know that I agree with her fully, but it is always healthy to somewhat, in my opinion, check myself, because I know I'm a little emotional and a whole lot irritated by this case. So I know I am not coming to it with, no bias whatsoever. I don't claim to have no bias whatsoever, but it is always important to me to try to figure out how the other side is either going to strategize or what lens they're going to see this through, so I can try to figure out, hey, maybe this is going to be the state's strategy. I love this. I can't figure out chess to save my life or euchre, but this is my strategy. This is my strategery game.
You know, I have to stop myself from wanting to laugh every time I see this video because it's not funny, but it is like, oh my God. I think they may have a good.
Ma'am, same for the rest of us, but let me point out here that you're a real lawyer on court TV, and I'm a person with super awesome hair on the internet. So I can say, WTF, what in the Walmart rapture, and sort of giggle about the absurdity of this. But you're supposed to be professional-ish, just, pointing that out.
Have a good defense for mental health issues contributing to what he did, because like his attorney said, he looked like he was out of his mind, but they need to come up with expert testimony to verify any mental health diagnosis prior to this event that they're going to try to.
Again, yes, you know why of all people, ma'am, you should know as a lawyer that actions can look crazy or out of their mind. But unless he was unaware of this being right or wrong at the time, which I'm guessing because he did it in response to her telling him you are going to El Prisión, he was able to figure out that, right or wrong, he was probably going to get, in trouble for this. This does not rise to mental health as far as I understand, because he can ascertain right or wrongness of this. Am I the only one lawyering this? I feel when I am the voice of reason, we know something has gone profoundly wrong. Welcome, Fred65 and Chris Mullen.
Try to use as a defense. I think that the state overcharged because I don't see any intentional attempted murder here. I see someone who lost their mind because the judge was about to lock him up. Is it excusable? Is there a defense for that? Yes, a battery, not an attempted murder, because
I fail to see how she thinks that this is a battery. Again, in absence of those other people jumping in, this man is huge compared to that judge. That judge is an older woman. All it would take would be one well-placed hit to the head, and she has brain swelling, and she ceases to be on this mortal coil. Let's see. Rant 100% understood. I was just recently told I should forgive the kids that teased or bullied me back in school. No, Jeffrey Montgomery. Those minutes where you're like, what would my inner child want? And you realize your inner child may be a little bit Machiavellian. Those times at 3 a.m. where you finally realized what you should have said to that, real jerk face in the 7th grade. And you're like, that would have destroyed their soul. And you get a wicked smile on your face. Like, God, if I only had the ability to go back to my 13-year-old self and tell them what would have destroyed, Becky's, terrible, terrible reign of horror in middle school. And then you're like, wow, okay, this is why it's good that we don't have time machines, because Mo would have gone scorched earth. And I think that would have led to a lot of problems. I'm like, wow, my inner child wants revenge. Usually she just wants a little Debbie, but she's like, let's go back to the 7th grade and turn Becky into goo with our mental savagery. She's like, yeah, but Becky's going to be 13 back then, and you're going to have the mental acuity of a 40-year-old. No care, no prisoners. You're like, whoa, inner child, you have a lot of rage. I didn't know I put all of my inner rage right next to my inner child, and apparently there was cross-contamination. Who knew? Let's get back to this chick.
I don't think he intended to murder anyone.
I agree. Julia doesn't. She thinks it's in
the face of the reporter, like, Well, that was stupid. I'm sorry. We're gonna backanate because I love these. Look, they're very not subtle to us other women. But if you are a dangly bits haver, let me pinpoint the moment where where the reporter chick at the desk was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna see all that BS and call you on receipts."
To murder anyone.
I agree.
Oh, okay. Let me take off closed captions because this is the face. This is the face of the hell did you just say, woman? And here's Anchor being woefully oblivious that this woman is like, I have never heard anything dumber in my entire life. The way women argue is so subtle and I love it, but we are definitely like soul assassins, let's be honest. Women, we will cut down your ego quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Agree. Julia doesn't. She thinks it's
That's
an
the same
attempted
thing
murder.
Ted said, that he thinks that it's not exactly attempted murder. But what would have happened if they had not been able to pull him off of the judge? Would he have stopped hitting?
Probably, and he knew that they were there. I don't know. The attempted murder.
Probably. So now we're gonna give like a future crimes mulligan. Like, he may have stopped. I don't believe we gave Charles Manson he's old now, so maybe we'll just let him out. No, we generally don't do that. But okay, talking head, let's see what you have to continue to babble about.
The murder part of it to me is a little bit of an eyebrow raiser, and
Yes, it is.
but to that point, it is.
I am so sorry, guys. This is why Mr. Mo doesn't watch videos with me, because I'm constantly having him stop and pause when we get to these faces. Because this woman right here, let me capture that. How the hell am I sitting next to two idiots? Did they not see the video? This woman is trying to figure out how she became the voice of reason, like what happens to me most of the time. I'm sorry, guys. These are the things that tickle me, but I'm just saying that face where she just looks like, I bet you're wondering how I got here. Law and Crime wasn't hiring. Now I'm stuck between a moron sandwich. So I'm trying to inwardly conceal my rage.
It is going to be on the menu, and even if they come back with battery on a protected official, he's looking at significant time. What about the mental health defense, trying to get a jury to buy into the fact that he was suffering from mental illness? I mean, it seems.
I am so sorry, but she just attempted to roll her eyes, but do what my girls do. Now, the only thing I can compare this to is the way Ben Affleck looks in that one meme where he's sitting outside and he's just smoking a cigarette and he is done with the world. He is in full F deficit and he would just like to have this cigarette so he can have one thing he enjoys before he goes back to J-Lo doing whatever she used to do. So I'm sorry, but ma'am, I don't know who you are, but your face is my friend, because even though you're trying to not underline and bold and caps it is amazing.
It seems like that's not going to happen. Talk about a leap. That might be a very difficult leap for the defense to get over that hurdle, because the court's not going to acknowledge it. So it's a tough one to go down that road, which you heard from the attorney, that's part of the equation in their mind.
Ted, you and I usually see eye to eye on these things, but I think that you're wrong. It is not a difficult leap because he does have history, according to clips that I followed when this case first came out from his family. He does have history of mental.
Again, but it was not displayed in the moment. I didn't even go. I am a twice college dropout. And why am I pointing this out like I'm a skilled attorney? He went from fully functional. Again, you don't have spontaneous psychosis, when you're confronted with, I don't know, consequences of your actions. I've never seen in the DSM-5, consequentitis. So, call me crazy. But again, the man was making a coherent statement with, no signs of cognitive decline or anything that would even make you suspect that he was out of touch with reality and therefore didn't know the rightness or wrongness of his actions. And in talking man head over there, if he was cognizant and aware that people would be coming to, remove him from said judge, he was, shaking and hitting like a rag doll, then he was absolutely aware of his surroundings and therefore not insane. I mean, I've only been watching trials for a year and a half, people, and I figured this out.
Mental health that has been documented. So if they come up with the right expert to verify what he was experiencing in terms of diagnosed mental health issues, he could have a good defense for him being.
That would work better if he had a diagnosis of intermittent explosive disorder. Yeah, that's my hand, since I have the cross stitch right here. So if he had an experience, or if he had a mental history of intermittent explosive disorder or oppositional defiant disorder, that would be, I would think, more applicable. I don't know if he had an IEP in school, but again, if you would like to be a member of our society, regardless of any sort of mental health issues, we have a social contract. And that requires that if you break our social contract, our rules, our laws, then you could potentially end up in prison. So yes, absolutely, this is not going to fly. I think this is going to be another counterfeit Sarah Boone style mental health thing. And I am not negating that he has these diagnoses. What I am saying is, oh yes, sorry, Casper. I was thinking IED. No, intermittent explosive disorder. Yeah. So if they could find a diagnosis that he had that's more maybe could explain his sudden loss of control, that still doesn't take away attempted murder. And again, if the talking male head says that he was aware and would have known that people would stop him, then that takes away him not being in his right mind, because for someone to stop you, for a concentrated effort to be made to stop you, then you have to be doing something wrong. And to be aware that someone is going to stop you means that you should, think about that. And Heidi, that might be something that they look at, but I will say that schizophrenia, I don't think works with this. I really don't think works if they can find the right expert. But I think it will set a dangerous precedent if he is allowed to skate on this because of mental health.
Being unable to control his impulses and having all that adrenaline that made him leap like a superhero over the table onto where the judge was. It had to be something mental health, and I don't think it's going to be a problem to find an expert to come in and corroborate that.
Yeah, let's listen back to what some of his family members who were there at those hearings after the fact when he came back into the courtroom, they were able to speak to the media. Take a listen.
Tell us about your brother and the brother that we haven't seen. Who is he like? What is he like? And how did he get in this situation?
Well, he's basically born with mental illness. He was born with crack cocaine in his system.
Okay, ma'am, I feel terrible that you had a terrible childhood. Every child should be cherished, loved, and taken care of by their parents. But you know what's amazing is I know some of the most awesome, give you the shirt off their back, kindest and most reliable people that had some of the crappiest childhoods I have ever heard of and have shared horror stories with me. Horror stories of, just the most awful things that could have ever happened to children. But you know what they don't do? They don't use that as an excuse. There is a fine line between survivor and abuser. And the minute you start to prey on other victims, on other people, then you lose that, victimhood survivor card, in my opinion. There is you lose that right to use that. So I'm very sorry for you guys' childhood, but it didn't stop you from, figuring out how to control yourself. It doesn't stop millions of people that are here on a daily basis, just trying to be a kind human. And maybe they didn't have those, people around them teaching them, but they figured out that they don't want to continue that cycle. They would rather be a shield rather than a sword to attack people. So spare me. Again, Mo is in all sorts of a mood today. But I am just tired. No one has a, June Cleaver, Leave It to Beaver childhood. They just don't. Even in the most put together, families, you are going to have things that you carry from your childhood. They're not going to be the same traumas. They're not going to be on the same magnitude. But most of us grow the hell up and realize that we cannot excuse our bad behavior because of our childhood for our entire life. Because at some point we have to grow up and be damn adults. Possibly. I mean, I'm working on being an adult.
So his chance in life was taken at birth. Deep inside, he's a good person. He's just not had the opportunity in life to be surrounded by positive people.
Do you think that this will essentially, him being sentenced, will undo all the work that he's done to repair his mental state?
No, definitely not. It's only going to put him in a worse state of mind because the system has failed him, and that's how he feels. That's how he feels that since the system fails him, so he's going to come out.
Ma'am, look, I try not to roast people, but you are ticking me the heck off. The system didn't fail him other than the fact that they never held him accountable. And I'm guessing that's not the way you're intending your statement. I'm guessing that you are going to say that it was collectively society's fault that he couldn't keep his hands to himself, that he resorts to violence when, things don't go his way. I'm sure that is somehow our fault. But no, you managed to figure out, how to conduct yourself as an adult human woman and not lay hands on people and not be on the other side of the law. What gives your brother a pass? Absolutely, Jeffrey. There, again, you have to make, at some point, you have to make a choice whether you are going to be a sword or a shield. And I am so sick of people using this. Again, because no one had it, 100% skate through easy in their life. But we don't. We don't know her history, but she is not currently in prison. So maybe she had some. And here's the thing that people often don't get when I'm going on this rant. I believe this man is capable of redemption. But there is no sense of redemption. There is no ability to move forward and become a better person, which I think everyone is capable of, until we firmly take our heads out of our own behinds and really figure out what it is that we are doing wrong. Look, I have had my head firmly stuck in my own rear end at several points in my life. I have had to, pull it out, figure out why I am, messing things up for me, and then take responsibility, own that crap, apologize to the people that I needed to apologize to, and then move forward. But none of that forward movement can start until until I actually remove my head from my behind. So I'm not speaking here as holier than thou. No, I have messed up a whole hell of a lot. But I always take ownership of it and try to do better because well, yeah, Nanny Goat. I don't know, but at this current time, she's not in prison. So I'm going with that as a sort of contrasting concept.
With that mentality and go forward in life, knowing that he has pleaded everything that he can, and being in a better place is different for us all. If he can be in a better place for a month, 30 days, for him, that's a lot.
So, Marie, what they are saying goes to your point about just how long he suffered from these issues. And it sounds like there will be medical evidence of that. But I want to ask you about just the video, how people react to seeing a judge in harm's way. How challenging is it going to be to get a jury to look past that when you have this video and you have this judge who, again, battery on a protected person? It really exacerbates things.
It does exacerbate things, and that's where jury selection comes into effect. If the defense picks the type of jury who has had little contact with the system, who are not pro-system, who dislike judges, and who feel like, you know what, the judge was rough on him, didn't want to listen to what his situation was, they may somehow empathize with him. That's where voir dire is going to be very important, and jury selection will be important.
So I wish that they had taped voir dire, or at least I could find the footage of voir dire, because I think it would be interesting. Again, I like this sort of chess match of trials, how lawyers have to look at things. And this is one of the things, if I ever get back with MLS God of Law, I would really like to figure out how this strategizing works. Do you go into voir dire looking for your sort of ideal juror? Do you have a list of criteria or things that maybe you want them to sort of align with that, is your sort of goal? Or is it sort of a, kind of feel thing? Well, I think so. It's interesting because voir dire sounds different. So I know in some areas of the country, just because I watch trials like it's my job, which technically-ish it is, but it's called voir dire in New Hampshire, but that's voir dire. It's just very interesting how we all sort of pronounce these things a little differently. So I say voir dire, but other people say voir dire or voir dire. So it's very interesting. But that's the part of trial that really interests me. It's all the strategic sort of pre-planning, how you organize your thoughts to make it effective. Definitely Aqua E. I do not know how the bailiffs were asleep on the well, that happens. He should have as soon as he uttered that, oh heck no, or which you're not gonna, those deputies should have been noticing them. They should have noticed a change in demeanor when, as soon as she had said something, because you could tell a change in demeanor if we go back. But if you are a deputy and you sense that there is going to be a change in the atmosphere in the courtroom when this man has been pleading to get no time, and then you hear the judge say something somewhat like, oh, well, have you seen your record? That's your clue that he is not going to get what he wants, and you need to be on alert. I don't know if they were all playing, Candy Crush. But this is a part where I would think you would start your your little, spidey sense would go up. Like, the judges obviously made her decision. She is going to be sending him to prison. This, could get hairy. And I doubt that they are going to find a jury that has not seen this. And quite frankly, unless the defense is able to get an entire jury of Antifa, I don't know that you are going to find a bunch of people or a consensus of people who are going to say, nah, it'll be fine. Like, no, there's, a little bit of light battery on a judge. I mean, but have we thought about his feelings? Yes, Christine, I didn't realize that opening statements weren't until 4:30. So I'm coming on the fly. I am coming up with something else to look at. We might go back to the Michael Jackson Blanos case, or we might do Sarah Boone. Yes, I know that jury selection has occurred, but sometimes they tape the jury selection, or they at least record it so we can listen to the recordings and kind of see what it is both sides are looking into or wanting to use, or maybe what their strategy is going forward. So I think we might be doing Sarah Boone notes, because what I will probably plan to do for the rest of this time this trial is on, we will just cover this trial for court and cross stitch. So we might have a change of plans and do Sarah Boone inmate notes after we finish this video, because I really have stretched it out and added my own little flavor to a whole heck of a lot of it. So it might not be actually cross stitch, since it's hard to read and do cross stitch at the same time. So we will definitely have more cross stitch tomorrow. Oh, 1 second. I have to tell the Orkin person that it is okay to come inside. So give me 1 second. I will play this out and let her know that she's allowed inside, to make sure that we have no mice, because my cats won't do their jobs.
Important, because you don't want to pick people who are pro-system. You want to pick people who could say, yeah, that judge really had it coming. Unfortunately, there are people like that out there who could sneak on the jury.
Well, yeah, we'll see that. That'd be tough to maybe find that person. You'd have to get lucky and voir dire, because no one's going to admit that, not during jury selection.
Welcome to Vinnie Politan Investigates. I'm Judge Ashley Wilcott, filling in for Vinnie Politan. When someone in this country signs up to be a police officer, they take a very serious oath. They become responsible for upholding the law. To serve means to fight injustice and protect those who are vulnerable. And one officer in Stoughton, Massachusetts, is accused of doing the exact opposite. Authorities allege he used his badge as a way to manipulate, abuse, and eventually murder an innocent young woman by the name of Sandra Birchmore. This is her story.
This is another case that I want to look at, but I don't know that we want, look, y'all, I am not trying to be selfish, but I do want to have a nice night with Mr. Mo. And, uncontrollable rage is not generally conducive. So I will not be reading the affidavit of that particular case today. I will probably actually do it Sunday on Rumble, because I will have all of the words. All of the words, all of it. Yes, I'm not trying to be shellfish. I actually enjoy shrimp better. No, I'm just kidding. But these are Sarah Boone's behavior inmate notes, because of course they are. And I am actually going to take this off. So I am not nearly, I got my new, oh gosh, what's it called? Tripod-y thingy So I really like how it's set up, but it's also, I feel surrounded by stuff. So we are changing on the fly because this is a professional holy water and duct tape production. But we are going to get into these Sarah Boonification notes because, dear Lord, I am sure. Oh, she doesn't like breakfast? Well, I mean, I am trying to be healthy too. So, if they could just make pancakes good for you with a bunch of syrup and butter. All right, so and these I would like to give a big shout out to Jedi Jess. She was able to find all of these since the start of Sarah's incarceration. Now, Jeffrey Montgomery, I will say that there is a low carb pancake that you can make with a couple of eggs and cream cheese. And my kids and I love them, but to the point that if I make them, my kids always always steal all of them. So my meal prep is always out the window wherever it goes. Now, in 2020 to 25 at 7:41 p.m., a face-to-face interview was conducted with the inmate. The inmate was advised of their custody level and was given their ID. The risk assessment questionnaire was given to the inmate and reviewed. All questions were answered. The inmate has no issues being housed in Gen Pop. I am sure that, Sarah was like, do you have a special prison for people who aren't even really guilty? Like, I don't deserve to be here with the criminals because I'm not one. She pulled that. Like, do you have like an innocent part of the prison? She's like, I can't be with the poors. She has a little bit of Donna Adelson in her that, like the pores, but not the social and or clout to pull it off convincingly. Now, on the 27th, staff requested protective custody due to high media coverage, and custody remains in, high media detention. Inmate is currently housed in a single cell with alert pending for, psych observation. Now, I am sure that she was really happy having her own personal room. I'm guessing that she was really upset when she had to go to the barracks. She was like, no, I would like to keep my personal room, please. I am not even guilty. All right. Non-intentional. And then we go to inmate was issued a property bag and informed that all items, when not in use, are to be placed in the property bag. The inmate was found to have 7 plastic bags in her possession. All items were taken and the inmate was counseled about her behavior. Well, I mean, are we shocked that Sarah Boone doesn't think that she has to follow the rules? Are we shocked that Sarah thinks that she is, exempt from having to follow any rules in jail? I mean, considering she's there unintentionally or hilariously for me. Now, inmate commissary checked against receipt and revealed 2 thermals, 10 cups, and a pack of Oreo cookies were missing. Now, I can understand the thermals and I can understand how Oreos would go missing because I have allegedly seen a lot of Oreos disappear without my knowledge in my house. Now, I have it on good authority that no one did it, so it's a mystery to this day. So maybe Sarah can use that excuse that there was a robbler. But what do you do with 10 cups? I mean, how much prison hooch was she going to brew? A weekly review was conducted. There is no change in status at this time, but the inmate does have access to programs and services as documented in the OCCD Administrative Order 10. So there you go. She was still in protective custody, segregation, and confinement at that time. On 4/8/2020 at 11:53 a.m., on 4/2/2020, inmate Boone, Sarah, was issued a property bag and informed that all her property was to be stored in that bag when not in use. On 4/8/20, while conducting a cell inspection at 07:06 hours, one of L dorm, several of inmate Boone's items from her personal property were located on a desk in her cell. I reiterated my instructions from 4/2/20 with inmate Boone, who became argumentative. I feel like Sarah, argumentative, she's a peach. Inmate Boone was given the same instructions in reference to her property from Corporal Daniels, who was present at the time. Later, at approximately 11:04 hours, while conducting lunch in the L dorm, inmate Boone's personal items were still located on her desk. I informed Boone that if she did not store her property as instructed, it would be inventoried and place it in her inmate property. Negative earned. Oh, she continues. On 4/8, while collecting lunch trays, I observed that inmate Boone had not started to eat. I informed Boone that all inmates were given 20 minutes to eat. Inmate Boone became argumentative and stated, quote, "I almost choked the other day while eating." Well, I mean, that seems like a you problem. It's 25 chews for every bite, and then you swallow, Sarah. There you go. Mom information of the day. Now, I informed inmate Boone that that was understandable, but she had not even started to eat. Inmate Boone continued to be argumentative and stated, "It's something different every day." I informed inmate Boone that these are Orange County rules and that they may vary and change at times, but she would have to be in compliance. Gosh, if there's not another person that just doesn't understand how no works. Now, on 4/14, it seems to be that this chick just, well, was having a hard time adjusting, just like your first couple days at, summer camp. Maybe she just didn't understand that the counselors were in charge. On April 13th, inmate Boone was allotted her 1 hour out of cell time. She spent the majority of her time on the phone, then decided to take a shower. She went over her time limit by a short amount of time. Tonight, inmate Boone was on the phone and I advised her that she had 30 minutes left. I again advised her that she had 20 minutes left. Once inmate Boone decided to finish her phone call, she had about 5 minutes left and still wanted to shower. I explained to her that she had 5 minutes to shower and that she would not be going over her time again tonight due to her using the majority of her time on the phone. Inmate Boone became argumentative, and it was again explained to her that she has 1 hour out of cell time to shower, make phone calls, and utilize the day room. Now, maybe I'm confused, but are people going to prison in the, confused mental state that they think they run things? Is Sarah confused about what prison is? She's like, "No, I will leave you a terrible, Yelp review. This is the worst Airbnb I've ever been in." No, this is called prison. Much like boot camp, you are not in charge. You do what you're told. You try to be good at it, and you generally just try to stay out of trouble and, keep attention off of you. But despite being in prison several times, Sarah seems to not have gotten that memo. Let's see. Now, due to her spending the remaining of her time arguing, inmate Boone did not shower. Inmate Boone is not receptive to counseling and acts as if L Dorm's schedule revolves around her schedule, a negative earned. Well, she is a negative, and she's done a lot to earn it. Let's see. Inmate Boone was approved to relocation to general population. Again, you guys, I still don't understand how this woman has not gotten a dot to the I. And I preface this by saying, laying hands on someone is never the answer, even when you are in prison. But you're putting a lot of people who have a hair trigger, don't like disrespect, with a woman who just oozes disrespect and condescension out of her pores. I mean, Sarah is the living embodiment of condescension. Well, ill-earned, ill-gained condescension, because she's a half-wit pretending to be a mid-wit, trying to use words to make us all think she's a big wit, but she just ends up looking like a nitwit. I'm just saying, I can't imagine how Sarah has gotten out, through Gen Pop unscathed thus far. But maybe we will find out that she has not remained unscathed. Looks like inmate Boone has been told on several occasions that she is to utilize one locker. On today, it was again found that inmate Boone had 2 lockers. I advised her the next time the locker that is not assigned to her is full, the items will be put in the garbage, as I am thinking that someone left the items who was released. So definitely. On the 5/3/2020 at 10:55 a.m. On 5/1/20, a shakedown was conducted in Dorm H. While conducting a shakedown, it was found that several inmates in the dorm were occupying 2 lockers to store their property. I explained to each inmate individually as to why it was important not to utilize 2 lockers, i.e., lockers with no inmates will be considered community property or left property from the prior inmate who was housed on the bunk and will be thrown in the garbage. Today, upon doing a visual of the dorm and observing inmate lockers, it was observed that bunk number 9 had property in it with no person occupying the bunk. When completing my visual, I returned to number 9 and removed the items in the locker, which consisted of a pair of orange shorts, Pepto-Bismol, and a pair of socks. Immediately, inmate Boone confronted me, stating to me that the items in the locker belonged to her. I asked her, how could that be? Because her and I had just had a conversation about not having 2 lockers. Again, this is why I could not be a prison guard, because I have no patience with adult people acting like they're 4-year-olds and don't understand the concept of, we just had this conversation. I do not deal with adults who attempt to play stupid. I do not deal well with those. Now, inmate Boone asserted that she is in no way flouting the rules. She's just better than you. Inmate Boone, for some reason, believes that the dorm rules, or any rules that matter, don't apply to her. Inmate Boone approached the officer's desk and stated to the officer, "Why is it you're always picking on me?" I stated to her, "I don't pick on inmates. I do expect inmates to follow dorm rules. When they don't do it, it will be addressed." The inmate was not receptive to any self-reflection. This is when she proceeded to ask for an inmate request grievance form and to speak with a supervisor. Dear God, she's still a Karen. Like, I'd like to speak to your regional district manager. For the love of Cheetos. This is when because she didn't like what I was saying to her because she is different, i.e. height, race, religion. I don't know because I don't elaborate. This is an addendum to the last negative that the inmate Boone received by this officer. The inmate stated to the officer that I don't like her because she's different. I'm not sure what she meant by this statement. I would never make fun of the mentally subnormal. I added that last part. I don't think she said that, but that's what I would have written. Again, showing why I am not allowed to be a police officer. because I would put snarky pettiness in everything. Because I'd have been like, and this heifer has terrible hair. And have you seen the things that make this chick smile? Now, on 5/12/2020, let's see, Mr. Douglas arrived at H dorm to see 2 inmates in the dorm. At the completion of the second inmate Boone approached the door and asked to speak with Mr. Douglas. I asked her what her question, and she stated she was missing some items out of her commissary 2 weeks ago. I explained to her that Mr. Douglas was not here to see her. Inmate Boone became irate and stormed to her bunk. And you know she did that little sassy, she went, and then she sassafrased her way back, to her bunk, making loud, obnoxious sighs, I am sure, being 112% obnoxious. Now, Inmate Boone became irate and stormed back to her bunk. After Mr. Douglas left, I called Inmate Boone to the officer's desk and asked her again what was her question. She explained to me that 2 weeks ago, Mr. Douglas bought commissary to her, and she had several items missing, 2 Snickers and a bag of chips. I called K dorm and summoned Mr. Douglas to return to H dorm, to which he replied no. I in turn asked for a short break from Officer Fulton and met with Mr. Douglas in the main hallway. I began to tell Mr. Douglas what was going on, and he explained to me that he was not aware of any missing items from inmate Boone's commissary 2 weeks ago. I said okay and returned to H dorm. I again spoke with the inmate Boone and stated to her what Mr. Douglas had told me, and she said that she said I had to let her speak with him the first time he would have remembered her face. I'm sorry, had she been allowed to speak to Mr. Douglas, he would, of course, remembered her and realized what a great and egregious offense he had done to all Sarah kind. No one cares for you that deeply. Now, ma'am, I would buy 2 Snickers and eat them in front of you because I am super levels of petty and I really don't like you. But I'm sure this man who, is just there doing his job gives not enough care to you, nor is he going to lose his job for a Snickers. I could be wrong, but I'm guessing, he makes more than what a Snickers costs, so he can buy his own damn Snickers. Now, inmate refused her breakfast tray. All inmates were given the dorm rules and expectations for the shower area. Inmate failed to follow instructions given and therefore received a negative. Inmate refused breakfast. Sarah Boone received a negative for constantly talking in the bunk area and passing food around to all the other inmates around her. I can't imagine Sarah Boone making friends through Snickers, possibly the only way that's going to work for her. Inmate continues to talk in the bunk area. Have we ever met a point where Sarah stops when she's ahead or behind or buried? I mean, this chick never takes a moment to say, stop. You know what? Maybe I've gone just a little too far and I'm behaving a bit like an ass. This has never occurred to her. All the inmates were informed of the dorm expectations. Inmate Boone constantly challenges this officer's directives. Inmate has been advised on several occasions that she is to have her ID on her person at all times when not on her bunk. Upon doing my 0845 hours visual inspection, while arriving at bunk 44, which houses inmate Boone, her identification card was visually posted on the bunk with no body. Inmate Boone was downstairs in the day room with no ID. Inmate was again advised about the importance of having her ID on her person. Inmate stated to me, quote, "Where is it in the handbook that you have to have your ID on your person? And where does it state that you get a negative for not doing so?" I pulled my handbook from the desk and highlighted the information regarding inmate identification. Maybe she was too busy reading Bouvier's Law edition, the 2012 edition. She was too busy with Merriam-Webster's. She's like, oh, I knew there was a handbook I was supposed to read. Damn it. I hate it when facts are printed in front of me and I didn't read them. Now, inmate Boone was called to the desk to read the information part that was stated on page 17. All inmates are required to wear their ID card at all times and display their ID card upon request from staff. Inmate was again not receptive. She also just doesn't like breakfast, but I don't really care about that. But again, I mean, at what point does she get put in the pokey because she doesn't listen to anyone's rules? On 6/15/20, while at the officer's station, inmate Boone was observed arguing with dorm trustee McConnell. I gave inmate Boone a verbal order to approach the officer's station. Inmate Boone was questioned as to the issue she was having with the dorm trustee. Inmate Boone stated that she did not get to wash her whites. I informed Boone that I called several times at approximately 11:47 hours for laundry, and that I observed the trustee call all inmates on recreation yard for laundry. Inmate Boone became argumentative and said that she didn't hear the laundry call, and she doesn't know why I had McConnell washing the whites. I informed inmate Boone that she didn't need to know, and she was afforded opportunity to wash her whites. Negative earned. Sarah Boone is receiving a negative for constantly talking in the bunk area after being told several times there should be no talking while in the bunk area. Who wants to listen to her? I mean, is she talking to people or at people? Because I cannot imagine that this chick, engenders friendship. I don't think she has a group of people that just love her. So is she talking to herself in a nonstop Sarah-induced verbal hurricane? Because I'm surprised she's lasted this long in a dorm. I'm just saying. Sarah just can't stop talking. Inmate was observed talking in restroom area. Inmates were told during my dorm expectations and rules presentation that there would be no talking in the shower area, bunk area, or restroom area. Negative earned. This inmate is receiving another negative for talking in the bunk area. All inmates were advised of dorm rules, and noncompliance would result in a negative. Inmate is aware that if her negative behavior continues, she will be given informal discipline. Can we give her formal discipline and/or see the license plates that she has to make? Asking for a friend. Look, I don't even live in Florida, but if you mint me a Sarah Boone unintentional, license plate, I'm just saying I would hang that thing up and I would buy it for $30. I don't know, Florida. I'm thinking Sarah Boone merch might save the economy. I'd get a personally handcrafted Sarah Boone unintentionally, license plate, even if it was a vanity one. Of course, I don't want to inflate her sense of self, but I don't think there's any problem. I don't know that it could get any bigger. Inmate is receiving this negative for being in an unauthorized bunk area. All inmates were advised of dorm rules, and noncompliance would result in a negative. Inmate is aware that if her negative behavior continues, she will be given an informal discipline. Oh, this negative is being issued to inmate Boone for talking in the bunk area with another inmate during face to ID head count, negative earned. And I do like how they have to, it's good procedurally, but I do like that they have to, mark down when they gave her a razor blade to, take a shower. Scarlett Sullivan, I'm hoping that since this is only page 8 of 75, we will learn what informal punishment is, because I am not quite sure what that is. Now, my guess is that, the punishments can range from loss of good time, if that is a thing, or maybe loss of privileges, or up to solitary confinement. But these are things I only know from watching, crime procedurals, so they might not be a real thing. Or they might be a real thing, but they might have. I don't think Sarah's trying to get punished. I think she went into prison genuinely feeling like she did not belong there. She should have been left out. She is not a criminal. She is innocent, and she is not a real prisoner. Sarah Boone has mentally segregated herself into this, I am not a prisoner. I shouldn't be treated like this, cocoon that she's trying to get everyone else to believe in, like a security blanket. It doesn't work. A negative is being issued to inmate Boone for talking in the bunk area after dorm expectations were given. Inmate Boone received a negative for talking in the bunk area to another inmate. All inmates were advised numerous times that there is to be no talking while in their bunks. Second offense will result in informal discipline. Let's see if she can change her behavior. I'm sure she can. I'm sure it's possible, but likely not probable. At approximately 0 hours after lockdown, inmate Boone and inmate Mitchell started a verbal argument from their individual bunks. Both inmates cursed each other back and forth. I advised them to be quiet, and neither inmate complied with my verbal commands. Both inmate Boone and inmate Mitchell were sent to holding for informal discipline for 2 hours. So you just have to sit in in-school suspension? What the hell is this? Adult daycare? I mean, maybe hard labor, I don't know, tilling, the prison garden by hand or something. Let's see here. On 8/24/2020, inmate Boone is receiving a negative for talking in the day room while a nurse was in the dorm room conducting medication passes. I gave several loud directives to the dorm that there would be no talking while the nurse was present. Inmate Boone was sent to her bunk at 21:54 hours for no more than 2 hours of informal discipline. Wait a minute, so she gets sent to her bunk by herself? I mean, call me crazy, but if you're in a loud-ass dorm, I would think being sent to your bunk by yourself would just be a sort of good thing, but that's how I, as an introvert, I'd be like, "Wait, I get to go to a quiet dorm room all by myself if I keep cutting up and acting wild? Don't threaten me with a good time. I would like to be grounded until my attitude changes, please." On 8/25/20, inmate Boone approached officer station in H dorm and asked if she could go to H dorm's classroom and use colored pencils. I told inmate Boone no and informed her that the faith-based classroom and items related to the faith base were for faith-based purposes only and not for her personal use. She's like, they won't let me color my mental health. Inmate was not scheduled to clean up in dorm. Inmate volunteer. Oh my God. Sarah got a positive officer contact. I don't know that we'll see many of these, but let's highlight them when we do. Inmate was not scheduled to clean up the dorm. Inmate volunteered to assist with cleaning where needed. Due to inmate's hard work and help with maintaining cleanliness in the dorm, the inmate is receiving this positive. Well, Sarah, you're only 233 in the negative now. You'll win the House Cup for sure. It's okay. You're in Slytherin. No one pretended that they thought you were going to win. Let's see here. Negative in officer contact. Well, dang it. Inmate is again talking in the bunk area. All inmates were advised of the rules. A negative earned. Let's see. Inmate is receiving a negative for excessive talking in bunk area after being told several times there will be no talking after lockdown. Do we not have a gag at any point? I mean, and again, who is this chick talking to? Because I can tell you that unless I was ordered to be her roommate or her bunkmate, I don't know that I would have anything to do with this chick. But perhaps it's me. Oh my God, she had another positive. Sarah, positive issue to inmate Boone for volunteering to clean. Maybe we just prison. Let's notice patterns and let's behave logically and pragmatically. Put Sarah on maid duty. Just give her her own little buggy and make her scrub everything. Apparently, the only time she is not rubbing her mouth is when she's lemon pledging something. So get this woman a lifetime supply of Mr. Clean and let us be done. Oh, but that's followed directly by another negative. Inmate Boone is receiving this negative for refusing to follow verbal orders from staff. All inmates advised of dorm rules and not compliance. Negative earned. Now, she did receive formal discipline in the form of 2 hours in a holding cell. Again, I'm pretty much yeah, probably. I guarantee that she has just this verbal external monologue where she is just talking at people. I don't know that she engages in conversations where she talks with people because she doesn't want to hear anything anyone else has to say unless it's agreeing with her 100%. So she has completely different goals in mind when she talks at people than like normal humans trying to, communicate with other people. Oh, well, she was not wearing her mask properly, even after being told several times how to wear it the correct way. She was placed in her bed or in her bunk for 2 hours. Inmate is receiving this negative for not having her face mask on or above her nose. I would think Sarah would be the first person, policing the face diapers. Like, she's not wearing it on her nose. She's going to try to unalive all of us. I don't know if you know this, but I was an honor roll in high school, so that makes me eminently, able to talk about virology and such. So you're wearing that wrong, and I, out of the goodness of my heart, because it is a good day, am trying to help you. And I don't know why everyone picks on me, but you're wearing that mask super wrong. Again, I could see Sarah being the like, I promise, I know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's see, on 10/26/2020, inmate Boone refused her regular tray and stated to me that she wanted a bag meal. No bag meal was given. Please note, this inmate was on a special diet. And stated to medical that she no longer wanted to be on a special diet. Interesting. Inmate Boone approached this officer's desk on this AM to ask me about a visit she was to have tonight at 1900 hours. I explained to her that I did not know that and that night shift checks and prints visitation assignments for the day. Now, inmate Boone continued to question me about her visit and asked me in a demeaning tone to call visitation. I stated to her, I will not. I mean, I had stated to her, I am not your maid, your social secretary, or any of the above. I am your warden and, your prison guard. Please look up what that means in Merriam-Webster's dictionary and stop bothering me. Inmate received a negative after being told consistently that there is no talking in the bunk area. I mean, now, Inmate stated that she did not want a food tray and that her name was on a special diet, but she desires to have a bag meal. I explained to her that she has a special tray for whatever reason, and between who and whoever put a note in. I also explained to her that if she's having problem with her diet tray, she needs to get with that with medical and figure that one out. I mean, I know this is shocking, Sarah, but you are in prison. This is a place where they can limit your freedoms because, you are being held in prison. Oh, all right. Sorry. I just got a voicemail speaking of court-related things, but I just got a call to remind me that on September 11th, I have to report to potential jury duty. To not do so would be not to uphold my end of, this whole citizenship and service contract. Now, again, I can't imagine that I will get on any jury due to my limited schedule and what I do for a living, but it will be an interesting learning experience. Inmate is receiving this positive for volunteering for food and laundry exchange, doing extra cleanup around the dorm, and taking the initiative by folding towels, Reds volunteering for special detail. Inmate continuously has a positive attitude and takes pride in the cleanliness of her surroundings. No, I'm pretty sure is it gonna be distracting if I wear a different wig every day? Might be an issue. Oh, no problem, Scarlett Sullivan. So, what I do for a living, um, basically this, I am a mom of 6 children, and I generally attempt to take care of my husband as well. So, that's kind of what I do for a living. Since you're new here, about 2.5 years ago, I was diagnosed with a chronic pain condition, which really limited my mobility. So, a lot of the things that uh, I used to do as a full time, stay at home mom, uh, I have, some really bad pain days, and I wasn't able to do that anymore. So, I kind of got into watching trials around the Kyle Rittenhouse stage where Nick Rekieta and all of them blew up. I started watching, his name used to be MLS, Michigan Law Show, but his name is now MLS God of Law, and I started watching him because he had a kind of smaller chat, and it was a more comfortable place for me to get into because all of these other channels had a huge chat, and I I'm maybe not the most social person, so I got into a small chat. He, out of the awesomeness in him, invited me on to do some co-hosting, and I just kind of started my own channel, and I do, since I do have the time constraints that I do, every weekday, I do a morning news show, that Scarlett, thank you. If you have watched trials, I have CRPS, which is what Maya Kowalski had, and absolutely give MLS God of Law a sub because he is awesome. He does Lego streams and he is an actual real lawyer. So if you have, technical lawyer questions, that's the person that you should ask. Um, but I love that opening up about my struggle and things that have changed. It's very interesting that I felt like a lot of my life had changed, but I also got opened up to this opportunity to meet so many people around the world and really do something that had always sort of been a dream, but I'd never really had the confidence or maybe the time to invest in it. So while it does sting and some days are better than others, I probably would have never gotten on this path of doing something like this and really finding my tribe of goofy people who love court and saving my husband from having to talk about Daryl Brooks ever again. um, you know, there are so many things that open up that maybe when you lose something, and I am not gonna lie, Scarlett, I had a 2-year pity party, and I am finally coming out of that. So I am much more positive than I used to be, but I can tell you that it is a process of getting used to having your life changing, and some days I am continuously working on that. Now, okay, inmate received a bag meal in lieu of a dinner tray due to allergy. Inmate received bread from a regular tray. Now, what is she now claiming she has an allergy to? I mean, I understand human kindness, but that doesn't seem like something you get on a tray. She does have another positive, and I wish, look, Sarah, again, I deeply dislike the person that you are because I think that you have given yourself an out. You have taken away your agency and things happen to you, and you are always cast in your own personal play as the victim. But even you are capable of redemption. You know, why don't you again, it seems like you enjoy cleaning. You know, again, if you could just push yourself into positive things and actually do things for others, I think that honestly, I think that I don't know that she could break her thinking now because the incredible self-realization and subsequent pain of realizing how much she has blocked her own blessings, how much she has made situations harder for herself would I think be too damaging to her internal scaffolding that she's built her ego upon, that I don't think that she could do this without some intense therapeutic help, because I don't know what she would do with herself if she took down that scaffolding of ego and, um, well, confuse. I don't think she ever. Do I genuinely think she feels sorry? Yes, but I feel like she feels sorry more that she is being held accountable. Now, do I think that she is capable of feeling human emotions? Yes, but that would require maturity from her. And thank you, Wolfram, for the 5 gifted memberships. Let me get these started here. And those went. Okay, when you pick fountain pens because you're extra bougie, but they don't work. Gotta love it. And those went to, let me pull those up. Kat Randall, SB Major Mom, Justin Smith, and Cheryl Sharp. So let me get those going and put up. And I need to show you guys, I'm probably sure I showed you this, but I am just super stoked about it. My shadow box with all of my tags that I've saved over this year, which is just amazing. I never expected this level of support. I am so incredibly blessed and amazed by it. But it is really awesome that Baker had this idea of, kind of addressing and acknowledging the support that he gets, every time someone gives some membership or does a super chat. So it's really kind of him that he said I could borrow it and make it kind of a bit my own, which is always great. And those will go on my board, and then I will show you what will eventually happen to the tags because I do have to clear off the board. So these are all of the tags that we have done just this year. So I am absolutely amazed. Like I said, I found my tribe. So this will get hung up and next year we'll start a new one, but I love this. I don't know the maker of these fountain pens. I think so. I accidentally, and again, this is more, me paying attention to details, but I didn't realize I ordered like an entire case of these. So I am not allowed to buy new pens until I go through the entire box of fountain pens. I did promise Mr. Mo because I didn't realize, I thought I maybe bought 4 or 5 pens. No, I've got like 65 fountain pens. So I was like, okay, Mr. Mo, you're right. I won't buy any new pens until I finish these. But still, they really should put a warning if they're going to give you a box. And he's like, yes, it's called the description. And I was like, well, that would require me to pay attention. So it says that now that we're getting a little bit of an insight. So Sarah Boone is allegedly, well, only about 100, not 1,000. And no, my problem is that I'll start a pen, and I don't know if anyone else has attention deficit cleaning syndrome. This is what I call it. If you've ever seen that Malcolm in the Middle episode where the dad starts off just wanting to maybe wipe down the counters, but then he realizes that the junk drawer is stuck, so he needs to find a screwdriver to fix the junk drawer. It's the same thing that happens to me when I'm cleaning. I'll start out in the laundry room and I'm like, oh, I need to put something away in the kitchen. And oh, there's dishes there. I should start cleaning those. And then yeah, Mr. Mo's like, why don't you just pick one room at a time? And I'm like, I don't think you understand how reality works in my world. I was like, no, this is how this works. I am going to half clean every room at least 3 times. Because I have children. One day I will keep a room clean. Pretty much. I swear to goodness. I thought, Nanny Goat, I swear to goodness, I thought that I was losing my mind. I kept losing my mascara. Now, this is how mind works, Sarah. So instead of immediately thinking that the world is against me and everyone was stealing my mascara, I immediately jumped to, gosh, I must really have a hard time putting things back where they go. Where did I lose them? Well, now come to find out, I should have probably be thinking about Sarah or like Sarah because my daughters steal my mascara all the time. Here I thought I was just very irresponsible. No, my children are stealing my mascara. But these are the differences in mindsets, Sarah. See, my first inclination was to think, gosh, maybe there's something I could do better based on my knowledge of myself being somewhat of a chaotic neutral. Now, your first inclination is to figure out how the world, victimized you. You might want to try that, little switcheroony. So she does say that she is allergic to soy, but according to officers, some days she says she's allergic to soy and other days not. The inmate was observed in the day room during chow eating a regular tray with soybeans. She has intermittent soy allergies along with intermittent, explosive verbal diarrhea. Inmate Boone received a negative for being in an unauthorized bunk area. Well, I mean, seems like a Sarah thing to do. Inmate Boone approached this officer's desk and began to scold me about a bag meal she said that I had a duty to give her for lunch. Oh, Sarah, When have you learned that speaking to these officers, district regional manager extraordinaire, isn't something that's going to work for you here? It's like her ultimate Uno reverse card of let me speak to your manager has been revoked and she has no idea how to deal with it because her every explanation is like, get me your supervisor. And they're like, these are not the supervisors you seek. They have Jedi mind tricked this out with her. They're like, no. And she's like, my connection to the dark side of the force is weak. Yeah. Please tell me that I am, going to do something for you and come to me with a bad attitude. I explained to inmate Boone again that she was afforded a special diet by medical to accommodate her allergies, but she refused. Inmate Boone stated to me that just because she was not like the other hair braiders, oh, Sarah, oh, Lord Sarah, possibly, and I am just saying this because I don't want anyone else to catch a case unaliving you, but the brass tits to say something like that. God bless, and I hope you prayed to tiny baby Jesus to protect your ass from a beating, that evening. Because, holy God, ma'am, do you think about these things before you say them? The answer is no, but oh, holy God. She's not like the hair braiders in this dorm, and she was not going to stoop to my level. Another inmate who was present at the desk and stated to inmate Boone that, quote, isn't that a racist statement? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And inmate Boone is consistently and routinely challenging officers' decisions. I explained to inmate Boone again to contact medical and see if she can again be put on a restrictive diet. Casper, I'm guessing that the officer was like, I'm not going to ask that question because I don't want to have to do the extra paperwork that is involved with, a, let's say, friendly, throttling by a fellow inmate. I mean, Sarah, for seriousness, you are not a likable person. Perhaps try not to piss off the other people that are there because they also lack, self-control in the face of disrespect. An inmate spoke to Corporal McKinley regarding a bag meal. Inmate stated to Corporal McKinley that she is aware that she had a special diet tray that she refused, but she wants to be given a bag meal at any time there is soy on the tray. Corporal McKinley again explained to this inmate that if there is soy in the main entree, we will accommodate. This is again always something with her regarding her meals. LPN Mullins state that she would look into putting inmate Boone on an all-bag meal, chow sort of rotation, since it is what she seems to be requiring at the time. I know, Sal, chip chop chip, as Jamie would say. Let's see here. Inmate Boone approached the officer's desk and asked the officer, quote, why wasn't she on the cleaning list? Because she was on the cleaning list this morning by Officer Green, B1 shift. I explained that per medical and alerts, she's on a no work status dated 12/12/20 by Nurse Harder. Inmate Boone stated to me that this cannot be because Officer Bridgers on yesterday stated to her she has no order and that the officer called medical and they also confirmed she's no longer on a no work order. I called Officer Bridges in J dorm, and Officer Bridges communicated to me that she never had a conversation with inmate Boone regarding her work status. I explained to inmate Boone, per her alerts, she is still under a no work status and that she cannot work until she's cleared. Now, the inmate was not receptive and asked me to call medical, and I stated I will not. She can speak to the nurse this afternoon when she during med pass time. Again, Sarah, I don't know where you think you are. This is not the Hilton. You cannot demand things from the front desk. This is prison. They look remarkably different, so we all thought that you would catch on, but apparently this just needs to be spelled out. Inmate Boone was offered a bag meal due to her allergy. Inmate refused bag meal. Inmate Boone continues to pick and choose which soy meals she wants to eat. Today's lunch consisted of potatoes and some sort of mystery meat. Inmate Boone constantly challenges this officer's decisions. I have spoken with medical on several occasions regarding inmate Boone, a special diet tray again, but to no avail. On this AM, I made an announcement for personal laundry. This is on 2/2/2021. Let's see if a new year brings a new Sarah. Survey says most likely not. And if I had a magic 8-ball, it would probably say, oh, hell no. But you know what? Hope springs eternal. Most of the inmates came down with their laundry because they're grown-ass women who hear and realize they're in prison, and when they hear someone say, hey, laundry, they get with the program. As I was observing the process of how the new dorm trustee did laundry, I noticed that her and inmate Boone were conversing for a while. Now, this officer uses the word conversating, but that is not a word. That is not a word. Conversating has never been a word. Conversing is the word you want to use. And I only pick this as my personal pet peeve. And the only thing in the realm of grammar and spelling that I feel like I can ever judge someone on is the use of the word conversating. It's not a real word. I thought it was an Indiana word, but I guess it's maybe a Hillchuck word, because I have been exposed way too many times and I get a tick. I'm like, no, that's not a word. Now, just out of curiosity, I looked at the laundry machine and saw that the only items, so after this conversation, she observed Boone put her personal laundry in the left laundry machine. As I was conducting my visual, just out of curiosity, I looked into the laundry machine and saw the only items in this particular machine were inmate Boone's. Being that we do not wash linens in the dorms, I took the sheet out of the washing machine and put it in a garbage bag and placed it out to the door. Inmate Boone approached me in a defensive manner with her hands on her hips and stated to me, "So are you going to give me another sheet?" I asked her, "Why don't you have a sheet?" She continued to babble. Okay, I might like this word. Oh, well, dang it. Still, it bothers me. It bothers me to no end. I hate that word. It's not one of my favorites. I'm becoming okay with moist, and I really don't have any problem with most other words, but conversating is the one that I'm like, it's that nails on a chalkboard sort of thing. I don't know why. Oh, good. Okay, I'm glad that everyone else, irregardless doesn't bother me, except for the fact that it just is wrong, but it doesn't bother me with the same passion of 1,000 suns like conversate does. I'm glad we all have different words, because could you imagine the unbridled fury that would happen if someone heard supposedly and we all hated that? Oh, so let's see if Sarah gets a sheet. Now, she continued to babble about why she did not have a sheet and also why she put her sheet in the laundry and so on and so forth. I explained to her that linen exchange is done on night shift, other than in an emergency. The inmate was not receptive and stated to me that this matter is something else to add to her, or is this matter something else that will be added to my notes? I stated to her to please do exactly what you have to do. But now you are displaying a conduct that disrupts the order and security of this dorm by yelling at this officer. And to con. Okay, maybe they don't have a good construct of the English language either. But basically, she was escorted to an informal discipline cell for 2 hours. Can you imagine how just absolutely relieved every other inmate is when she gets 2-hour breaks? The officer comes back like, okay, people, we can party now. Inmate Boone received a negative while on break. Corporal Gilraith informed me that she instructed Inmate Boone to go to her bunk. Inmate Boone was not properly wearing her face mask as per the CDC guidelines. Inmate Boone informed the corporal that she had some type of medical cream applied on her face and she couldn't wear her mask for 30 minutes. There's not a cream for resting bitch face. I don't know what you're trying to achieve here, unless you have a fever sore, or I don't know. Again, there's not a look as a bronze contender in the resting bee face Olympics. I can tell you there's not a cream for that. There really isn't. You just have to work on your soul. And even then, you're still going to look mildly intimidating. So does mine, but this involves Sarah Boone, so I've given myself a firm, a firm no-go zone for that one. Yeah, again, Sarah had to go to her bunk because she was not given any permission by anyone, regardless of cream use or not, to not wear her face mask. Who'd have thought? On 3/16/15, which I don't think this has to be a missed date, because she, I don't think, was in prison in 2015. I'll have to go look back. So obviously this date is wrong. It's probably 2021 versus 15. While working in FDCH dorm, inmate Boone approached the officer's station and stated she was having issue with inmate Willis and Linton. Now, on 3/15/2021, I spoke with all inmates concerned due to them having a disagreement in the bunk area. Inmate Boone stated that inmate Willis and Linton were harassing her and calling her a killer. Fair enough. Now, when she spoke to the other inmates about the situation, both of those inmates stated that inmate Boone was lying. Linton and Willis stated they were arguing because Boone was talking to them about what she thinks about while she's sleeping. Due to inmate Boone demanding that both inmates be separated, and she not moved, I felt there was inmate manipulation in play. I spoke to Corporal Sutton about the incident, and she stated she would speak with the inmates. Sarah Boone lied. I can't imagine. In our next negative, officer contact, during a random locker search and shakedown of inmate Boone's bunk area, inmate Boone had the following items in her locker. 1, a bottle of lotion that contained an unknown white powdery substance. Sure, that's fine. A white roll of medical tape, 2 hand sanitizer wipes, and several Kleenex tissue papers, several sheets of notebook paper, and paper clips. She also had a Head and Shoulders shampoo bottle and hand sanitizer. Inmate Boone was asked what was inside the bottle labeled lotion that had white powdery substance inside. She replied that she didn't know and that she got it from an inmate who is no longer at the jail by the name of Redacted. Inmate Boone has violated 310, possession of any contraband, anything unauthorized for retention or receipt by the inmate, and has not been issued to him through regular facility channels. Inmate was also counseled, appeared to be receptive, and understands that future incidents will result in formal disciplinary action. This is the first time she's been receptive. Shakedown. So they basically go through and open up all of your personal property, say your, locker, look under your bunk, make sure you don't have any contraband, make sure you, obviously it looks like she had lotion with baby powder mixed in, if you want to take the most charitable interpretation of white powdery substance. Just making sure that they don't have something random that they got from somewhere outside of, carefully controlled supply lines that the prison would like to be in charge of. Oh, the inmate is receiving this negative for being in an unauthorized area. Inmate was observed passing something to another inmate who is housed in bunk number 40. The inmate should be noted that Sarah is housed on, bunk 34. Diatomaous earth, it does seem like she could have been, trying to work on her gut biome. I'm sure that's what it was. Nanny Goat, we already have people naming their child Demure. I'm sure there's already someone that's named Redacted. Don't give me any ideas. I would ask Mr. Mo to have number 7 just to name it Redacted. This is our so on a random tangent note, my younger sister is like 19 years younger than me, but it's always funny because my mom calls her my name and calls her my name all the time. So she always switches up names. So we always just look at her and do that, oh gosh, what is it? Not Field of Dreams. What's the Gina Davis movie with them all doing the softball? I cannot remember it. League of Their Own. So we always do that line, this is my daughter Mo, and this is my other daughter, Mo's sister. So we always kind of do that particular line from that show whenever she messes it up, because we have both been called the other person's name so many times that we're not quite sure if she knows that we have separate names. But as a mom, I do that myself, so I completely understand. Well, it looks like she got herself in trouble again just 7 days after the whole, talking to people from other bunks. During a random locker search and shakedown of inmate Boone, she had ketchup, mayonnaise, mustard, and sugar packets all stored in a legal envelope that had been cut in half. Inmate Boone did not have any paperwork in these envelopes. Inmate Boone also had a handful of pariah flyers that were previously posted around the facility in regards to an upcoming audit, along with a bunch of cut up pieces of paper and brochures, as well as several Kleenex tissue papers. Sarah, were you trying to write a hostage letter, like an abduction letter? You understand that you can't, say that you can't, send anyone a ransom letter from prison. I'm confused as to why she had a bunch of flyers and she was like cutting up pieces of paper. I don't know. Now, again, this is considered contraband. I informed inmate Boone that anything altered from its original state was contraband and would be disposed of per Orange County policy. Inmate Boone was also counseled and appeared to be receptive. Careless whispers. Now, let's see. On this AM, inmate Boone came to the med line with a manila envelope. I asked Boone to let me see what she had in the envelope. This is only one of 73 letters to the judge, I'm sure. Inmate Boone had 6 medicine containers. This is what the nurse put the medication in for MedPass, with some sort of medicine in it. I asked inmate Boone what was in the containers, and she stated to me it was face wash. Face wash. Nope. Sounds totally plausible. Oh, okay. Maybe she was given face wash. I asked the nurse when she was to use this, and Nurse Scott stated to me in the morning and in the evening, and that there should be no leftovers. Inmate Boone was not receptive to not hoarding her face wash for reasons I can only imagine are her own. Well, inmate got a positive, point. Again, Slytherin is still way and distantly trailing in 4th place with, negative 3,000, but she did manage to get a point. Again, she seems to enjoy being busy. When she is busy, when she is cleaning, just make her the general maintenance person of this prison. But then, she has 2 positive days in a row, and that simply just, that threw off the balance of the force. So directly after that, she had to get a negative officer contact. Inmate Boone, along with other inmates that attended the faith-based program in H-Dorm, were advised to get ready for the program that starts at 0900 hours. Inmate Boone was observed entering the classroom and exiting out the enter door to go to the shower. Inmate Boone was told to complete her shower before 900 hours to attend the program, to which is the reason she is housed in this dorm. Inmate Boone began to yell from the shower, stating that the lady from yesterday told her that the program doesn't start until 9:30 hours. Inmate Boone was counseled about her behavior and was receptive. Interesting. I met with inmate Boone to extend case management services. At this time, she declined assistance, but was informed that should this change, she can fill out an inmate request form, and I will meet with her at this time. Don't ever make that offer to say, okay, you don't want it. All right, good. Don't contact me again. Inmate earned a negative for talking in the bunk area. Again, just stop talking in the bunk area. Inmate Boone is receiving this negative for her attitude. I feel like that could sum up just about every negative she receives. Inmate Boone was assigned to clean the inmate restroom. While speaking with another inmate, inmate Boone rudely interrupted, stated she needed to, change a garbage bag. She was informed that if she couldn't clearly see I was speaking with someone and that her interrupting was rude, she needed to wait. She immediately got an attitude saying, all I asked for was a garbage bag and I'm the one cleaning and I'm trying to get it done. She again was told that maybe her attitude was wrong, to which she apologized. Yeah, so some of these reports are written by people that seem to either have skipped a sentence or they're just kind of skipping words. Maybe there's a shorthand that they use, but some of them are, I'm like, look, I know I am terrible at grammar and spelling, but this isn't English. True. True. Again, Sarah being found in an unauthorized bunk area. So many of Sarah's problems are just feeling like she's above the rule. But I don't know how you fix that. Inmate Boone attended a faith-based program, sadly not to be doused in holy water and see if she melts. I mean, can't we? Oh, welcome, Broken Baker. Can we just throw a little bit of holy water and see if she starts to sizzle? I mean, just asking for a friend. Look, I'm not saying that if I were in charge of the faith-based experience at Sarah Boone's jail, I would do that, but I'm not saying I wouldn't just to test a theory. Science and every one of us should endeavor to learn something new every day, and I need to see if she'll, melt. Now, Sarah was part of a faith-based program. I can imagine this didn't end well for her. Due to the clock not keeping accurate time, the program room she asked me to inform her when it was going to be was 20:30 hours. At 20:30 hours, I informed her of the time. Upon exiting the program at approximately 20:50 hours, inmate Boone approached me and stated the program's instructor, Miss LeMay, and her had words over me informing her of the time. When Miss LeMay exited, I asked her if there was an issue during the program. She informed me that inmate Boone was rude to her and told her that she goes over the allotted time and she needs to be at her car at 9. What? Okay. Now, let me explain to you that this woman is trying to bring the light of Jesus into Sarah's cold, dark, empty heart. And Sarah would like to talk to this chick's manager, God, because apparently, his servant who's out here doing a mission to prison workers is late, according to Sarah, and should endeavor to be on time. Nothing like receiving life advice from someone who's in prison and general critiques of your, moral fiber, again, from Sarah Boone. Baker, this woman is a cartoon. This woman, if I tried to write a Hollywood story with Sarah Boone as the main character, no one would believe this woman was a real person. She's too outlandish. She is not real, but truth is stranger than fiction. But yes, please tell God's emissary trying to bring you, Zach. Try to tell God's emissary there to bring, Christian fellowship to you that she's wrong. Sarah, life goal achieved, I'm sure. Well, she just doesn't like breakfast, but I don't really care. Inmate Boone has gone above and beyond to help staff. This is labeled as a negative officer contact, but I think it meant to be a positive. But then she goes right back to not wearing her face diaper correctly. So, this is actually a pretty, I spoke too soon. I was like, wow, she's kind of had a pretty good run here with not having any bad things happen, but that was just not going to happen. Classification note. Inmate Boone was removed from the faith-based program on today due to several complaints of intimidation, bullying, and antagonizing inmate workers in the dorm, specifically dorm workers. I spoke to her approximately 3 weeks ago to due to complaints from inmate workers assigned to dorm trustee. I advised her she would be removed from the faith-based program and relocated if she continued this negative behavior. Her negative behavior has continued. I mean, a more redundant sentence was probably never stated. They should just copy and paste this. She was relocated to a new housing dorm to resolve the issue. Inmate Boone has been removed from the faith-based program, Life Learning Program, without previous notification to the program director. The chaplain was notified after the fact. It should be noted that inmate Boone is one of the most improving program participants with no discipline issues, respectful and always willing to help from the chaplain. Well, I mean, maybe she's on her best behavior with a guy who has the ear of God. Again, she cannot be, bothered to wear her mask. Inmate received a negative for talking in the bunk area. Have you guys tried, one of those squirt bottles? It works really good for my cats when they're on the counter and they're not supposed to be. Have we ever thought of maybe using a super soaker on Sarah? I'm just saying. I think it might work. Oh, well, she was almost going to end the year okay. 2021 was almost going to end on a positive note, but it just didn't. On today, November 9th, 2021, inmate Boone approached the officer's desk and asked if any mail came today. I told her no. Inmate Boone did not like that answer. Darn, where is her one fan? I'm sure they're constantly writing to her. And continued questioning this officer about the mail. She stated she finds it very odd that the mail hasn't come in 3 days and demanded I call and see if B dorm has any incoming mail for today. I explained to inmate Boone that I'm unaware about that past few days because I wasn't in the dorm office. I can only speak for today, and there is no mail for B dorm today. Lastly, I don't need to call anyone regarding the mail. FDC has a system put in place for the mail. Inmate Boone then demanded an inmate request form. The form was made available to her, and she stormed off. Inmate Boone constantly questions the officer's authority and gets an attitude when she doesn't get her way. We do not negotiate with toddlers or terrorists. Squirt her with a squirt bottle. I'm just saying. All inmates were given my dorm expectations and advised several times that there would be no talking of any kind on bunk, shower, or bathroom areas. After ensuring all inmates understood my verbal orders, while conducting chores of the dorm, the inmates continued to talk in the bunk area, disregarding the rules of the dorms. All inmates in the dorms were informed that they would remain on their bunk for 2 hours, which was documented by my, notes. Inmate Boone approached the officer desk stating she had to contact her attorney before 2 p.m. I advised inmate Boone that once the 2 hours were over, the phones would be available for use. Inmate Boone then started to become argumentative with me, stating this is not fair and a cruel punishment. Inmate Boone requested an inmate request form and to speak with a supervisor. I would like your district regional manager, please. This is not allowed to happen to me. Well, she did return with her completed form, which I'm sure was just filled with a bunch of 666 and crayon scribbles, and that was given to a supervisor. I'm sure she got all of the information. Again, she was talking in the bunk area. Just, it's very hard, but maybe, just follow the rules, Sarah. On December 6th, 2021. On today, December 6, 2021, inmate Boone approached the officer desk with an inmate request form along with 2 handwritten pages that were attached stating she wants to give video visitation regarding her visit that took place yesterday on December 5th. Inmate Boone stated that her visit was cut off for no reason. I, Officer Veal, made it very clear to inmate Boone that her visit did not get cut off for no reason. I'm sure there was a reason. And then I asked her if she addressed her concern with the officer that was on duty yesterday. I'm not sure what she is trying to grieve or give a grievance about. I took it upon myself to landline visitation. I spoke to Miss Sanford and advised her of inmate Boone's concern. Miss Sanford asked me to place the phone on speaker so that inmate Boone could hear the rules of how video visitation works. The rules are no different from an on-site visit. Inmate Boone was still quite upset, but appeared to be receptive and now understands how video visitation works. Inmate Boone insisted on speaking to a supervisor. Sergeant Dunn was notified and made aware of the situation. I can just imagine her inwardly, oh, dang it. It sounds better now. I don't know if it's connections or YouTube lag, but this seems to be a thing, so I might have to revert back to my old mic, which is upsetting because this mic lights up and it was more expensive. And thank you, King Gamer, for letting me know. Okay, so inmate Boone was called for a visit. Inmate Boone arrived for the visit without a face mask on and asked for a new one. Inmate Boone was asked where her old mask was to verify the nose clip was intact. Inmate Boone stated she threw the mask in the trash and was unable to provide one. Inmate was issued a new mask and reminded that a mask must be shown intact in order to be issued a new one. Well, looks like Sarah just cannot, catch a break. On today, December 16th, 2021, inmate Boone approached this officer while conducting a visual and stated she needed to speak with me. Inmate Boone then stated that another inmate is going around B dorm discussing her case, calling her a murderer and yelling, "I can't breathe," per inmate Boone. The other inmate is mocking her case that she knows nothing about. Ma'am, you are on cable, all the YouTubes, and I have made so many legal shenanigans videos off of you. But I would mock you too because you are a self-righteous butthole. Now, my first question to inmate Boone was, did she discuss her concern with the officer that was on duty prior to me? She said no, because it happened yesterday, December 15th, 2021, while I was on duty. So my next question was, why am I just now hearing about it today? Inmate Boone had no answer to that question because that would require logic and pragmatism and, making up a better story than hide and seek gone wrong. When I told her that I would speak to the other inmate in regards to this matter, inmate Boone made it loud and clear that she did not want me to speak to the other inmate. Instead, she requested me to move the inmate from bunk 40, and by doing so, the problem would be solved. Being that the problem is always trying to manipulate staff to get her way. And being that this particular incident did not work in her favor, inmate Boone is fully aware that if I didn't hear anything else in regards to this matter, she will be relocated to a different bunk. Well, guys, I am going to stop here and we will probably, continue this in a little bit, but I'm starting to lose my voice, and I don't want to lose my voice before tomorrow when we will actually be doing Crouching Judge, Flying Defendant. Yes, the case of Nevada versus Deborah Redding. Excuse me. We'll have opening statements at 4:30 this evening. I do have date night with Mr. Mo, so we will not we will not be doing nightly newsy news. Otherwise, I would start that when I got home after picking up the boys. But I will be starting with opening statements tomorrow after Mornings with Mo. So we will have a full day of court and cross stitch, and I will have my setup, and we will just go through. And it looks like there are only going to be 10 or 11 witnesses for the state in that case, and 2 or 3 witnesses for the defense. Just a short sort of refresh of what we are going to be going over tomorrow. This is the case of the flying defendant that attacked the judge after being told that he would actually have to deal with the consequences of, violent assault with a baseball bat. He has pled guilty to, I believe, 7 of the 8 charges. The only charge that is currently going to be decided by this trial is whether his attack was attempted murder or not. Now, it does look like the defense is going to try to use his history of mental health as a mitigating factor. However, the fact that he was carrying on a logical, defense of why he should not be put in jail and then immediately switched to an attack, indicating that he did understand and, have a cognitive grasp of what was going on in the moment. I don't think mental illness or insanity is going to work here, but I'm willing to see them give it a try. That being said, I am glad I learned how other people pronounce this man's name also, because I would not have picked Deborah. I would have gone with Deborah. I guess I would have figured the O was silent, but and this is a gentleman whose name is Deborah. I think we figured out the roots and causes of a lot of issues. Call me crazy, but, a man named Sue may also have had to walk through some issues in life. I know it's Deborah. You cannot tell me that this was not the start of many problems. That's like Elizabeth Wetlaufer, with a name like Wetlaufer and her being shaped as unfortunately as she was in full grimace-like proportions, that child never stood a chance. Anywho, I am going to go tackle I'm going to go tackle Mount St. Laundry and, some mopping, because my goodness, the things that these children drag in on their feet, I don't even want to tell you. It would horrify you. But I have really enjoyed this. I hope you join us for tomorrow with Mornings with Mo at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, since we're back from daylight savings time. May it never happen again. So I will see you guys in the morning at 8 a.m. We will have an hour of newsy news, and then we will hop straight into this case. So I am so excited for this, and let's have fun. And I will see you guys in the morning. So thank you so much for joining. Please like, subscribe, share, all that YouTube-y, stewy stuff. And, just have fun, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. So bye, guys. Now I just need to find the end button. There we go.